I made a boo-boo while sculpting the columns for the Fallout Wasteland Warfare Ruined Fort. Guess we got to fix that now, and that's coming right up. Okay, so as those who have been following on our Facebook will know, this is the column of a fort that we've been working on of late. Now, it's pretty much finished. I went to print it and immediately went, oh balls, you completely stuffed this up. I'll pause now and 10 points to anyone who can guess in the comments how I stuffed up. Oh wait, are you done? I've no way of telling if you've actually paused it or not and gone and commented. But anyway, where I've stuffed up is I've made this all one piece. I really need this lantern to be a separate piece. Otherwise, we have to, if we go to support this thing, all these little bits up here will need supports. So like up here and stuff, and it's messy to try to get supports in there. It'd be much better if these were two pieces. Then for starters, I'd save material by not having to have long supports. But even if I do go and put some supports up here, these supports are very two-dimensional now. So they would need supports themselves, or they'd need to attach to the side of the column, which then would be bad because we'd have marks on the side of the column that we don't want, and it would interfere with our texture. We can avoid all of that by just having this as a separate piece. It also means that if we do decide to hollow these two out, which we do want to do, save some resin, if we have it all as one piece, it'll hollow this out as well, and we'll need to put holes in it, and there's no real good spots in here to put any holes, because down here is too small, and in the window, that's supposed to be perfectly flat, and we'll have to fill it in, and it won't be perfectly flat. It'll be very noticeable where we've filled it. Most likely, unless we spend a whole lot of time filling, which I don't want to do, because I'm a lazy piece of shit. So, what we're going to do instead of that is we're going to make it so that these are two different pieces that attach, and I think where this bit in the middle goes in, we're going to make it so that in there has a little hole for that to slot into, and I think I'll also have little divots in here for those to go into, just to center it and make sure, or it's not able to rotate, so it goes in easily. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll go into Blender where we have the file. Fortunately, because I know that I'm a professional dumbass, I've still got it so that these things can be moved around effortlessly. So what we're going to do is we won't start with that one. We'll start with this one. This is probably a good place to start. So I've structured the file system for this so that we can easily go and grab the lantern out of it. So we'll go into the undamaged column. So all of these undamaged columns with the connections on the side for little 4mm magnets to go in, all reference the same collection. So what we can do for this, actually, we can just remove that completely because it's only these that are being added. So we'll go in here, we'll go down to column undamaged, that's this collection here, and we'll just remove that Boolean union completely because we don't need it. And we will then wait. Here's some waiting music. There we go. So, now that that's removed that from there, what we're going to do, so it'll be for this Boolean here that's removing to cut out these little holes in the side for the magnets. That's already a difference with this collection here, this one, 4mm mag cutter. So since we're already referencing that collection, I should probably change the name, but I'll do that later if my OCD kicks in. We're going to go into here. We're going to turn these on so we can see them. And all we really need to add to this collection is the legs and this little gas tube in the middle. So we're going to go Control-C to copy them. And it's going to freeze up. Thinking again. One eternity later. And we're back. So Blender crashed. And then I couldn't open the file, so I've had to go and append every object, hence why our little filing system is a bit different. But the plus side of that, it's now created all the copies that we need that crashed Blender in the first place. It crashed and wouldn't let me open again because of all the booleans that I had running, so we've got to remember to turn those off before saving and exiting out of it, or we won't be able to open the file again. So we're going to rename all the collections that we're subtracting from, just to, I don't know, column 1 connection subtract or something, just so that we know it's subtracting. But what we want to do is, now that we've done that and we've got our copies, so if we go column undamaged 1, here are our copies, column undamaged, no, that's magnet cutter, column undamaged tube there, perfect. So we want to take them, we want to take the bits of that that we actually want, which is the legs and the gas tube, because we want that to punch a hole basically. Actually, it's not even really the gas tube because we're going to use a circle to do it. So it's really only the legs, and we want to take that and we want to just plop it in there. And I fucked up again. I should have turned off that boolean first because now it's going to do some maths. So we'll be back after it does maths. Okay, so it's now popped that into there, and as we can see, now that's there. So what we're then going to do is we're going to go, I think it's N, yep, so we bring up this tool menu, and we want to look at the gas tube. So it's dimension, it's a 3 mil, wow, right, that's the other thing I forgot to do, change my units. It's very helpful if you have the unit set correctly, so that it's not telling you meters when it should be millimeters. It's a 3 millimeter across at the base of that tube. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it slightly bigger than that and have it just, you know, put a hole in there. So we're going to then add a new mesh. We want a, what do we want? A cylinder. 32 verts should be fine. Radius, we probably want about a point. This size, probably 0.1 mil. So we'll go 1.6 radius. And we want our depth to be a bit. We can move it up or down to adjust the depth, final depth. So we'll go 4 mil depth. Actually, no, we'll go 6 mil depth just to be safe. So that's now got our cylinder. And if we go and bring it up on Z, that's going to go there. Now, where did that cylinder end up? It ended up here. So we want it in, we want it here for now. Because we need to say our depth first. So we're going to look at the gas tube, and we're going to go Shift Z to look into wireframe to see how deep down that goes. Then we're going to grab our cylinder, and we're going to bring it up, and I can't see that anymore. So we're actually going to go out of that. Need to bring the focal point across, go in here, because I need to be inside this object so I can see what I'm doing. So now if we go up, we can see where it comes down. So it comes down to about there. So that's matching with the bottom of it now. But we then need some clearance at the bottom of that hole so that when this presses in, it can actually go all the way down, because we want it to be resting into these grooves here. So we're going to take another 0.5 mil off that. Let's go to Z and go minus 0.5 millimeters. That'll be now dropped down just that little bit more, and we can now subtract that. So this will be called, what should we call it? Let's call it gas tube hole cutter. I am a creative person. And we're actually going to call it 0.001, so that when we copy it, at least we know it's for that set. And then we need to drop it into here so it subtracts. Boom. Drop it into there so it subtracts. Computer will do more maths again. Okay, so that's now done the maths. So if we now collapse those collections and hide them, you'll see that we've now got a hole in there that the gas tube base can slot down into. And we've also got these little divots that the bottom of the legs can just sit into to align it. Now this will be much more printable because we're not trying to spot the lantern, so the lantern will be off over the side, so we should probably make our lantern now. We already have the objects for it, which is convenient. So gas tube, lantern body. So I'm going to make that visible again. And we're going to make a new collection, and we will call this lantern bits. There we go, because we're orcs, so we'll spell it with a Z. And we'll throw into that our little gas tube can go in there. Lantern body itself will go into the main collection. Because it's gonna we only need one, so we'll delete the other copies that we'd made. We also need to grab a copy of legs. So what we're gonna do, so that it doesn't freak out when we try to copy it again, we're gonna go to column 1, we're gonna go to its modifiers, and we're just going to turn off the Boolean cutout, well, Boolean difference, so that it's not trying to do the maths on it when we go and make that copy, so it doesn't freak out, because that's what happened before and we want to avoid doing that. Okay, so now that that's off, it'll stop Blender from freaking out when we go and make the copy of the legs that we need to grab. So we're going to go there, we're going to go Shift D, makes a copy of it straight away. I'm going to we don't need any information on that. That's going to go into lantern bits. So it's now in there. So if we now disappear, not the column, the lantern bits, and we also just disappear that for a second, all we're seeing now is the lantern. So in the lantern body, we're going to add ourselves a Boolean union. We're going to change it to the operand type to collection, because we want it to be doing a Boolean union with the whole collection. And the reason that we change it to do it with the whole collection, and we do it with a Boolean, is because this model is way too detailed to go and stitch it in individually. Then we've got to deal with control loops in really messy ways where geometries just don't line up. There's no other way to do it, as far as I'm aware, where it comes out neatly and doesn't require just a stupid amount of effort, because I'm very lazy. We then, Boolean union collection, we're going to go and grab lantern bits. And that will just combine the legs and the gas tube with this main lantern body. Bingo! So we now have our lantern body, but it's now separate. And then we can go, and we don't want the column undamaged. Okay, so we can now, because there's nothing in it, we can delete column undamaged. We can go to our column, and we can combine it with our new collection, which all of it went into one connection. Yeah, 4mm magnet cutter, one collection. That name will change, but I'm not doing it on camera because that'd be really boring to look at. There we go. So we now got our magnet holes in there, and if we look in the top here, there's a hole cut. There's a little bit of clearance, so when it prints, it'll be able to slot in there quite nicely, and there shouldn't be any sanding needed. A little bit of clearance for some glue to fit in there as well, and these little divots here will help align it. So that will be much more printable because we can now print it in 2 separate parts. So we will now save this file. And this is our columns. I don't need to append anything else from this file, so we will overwrite it. Cannot overwrite it. Well, that's unfortunate. One eternity later. So Blender crashed again, so I've had to go append all of the objects again, and I've gone and removed all of the booleans so that it can actually save it. It's saved it, it's openable now. I just need to make sure that I don't save it again while the booleans are applied, or it's going to not let me open this file again. Fortunately, we don't have anything else we need to add to this one, so as long as we follow those rules, we'll be safe. So we've got the column, we've got it all set up. We apply the boolean to this lantern body to the lantern bits, and it's good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and apply these one at a time, export them as STLs, and then go and see how much easier this is to support and print. Okay, so we've now got the little holes in this one and the little divots and stuff at the top, so we're good to export this one. Export as an STL. I've already tried exporting these ones since I have a whole bunch of files, but it's this one we want to overwrite, selection only, otherwise it tries to export the whole, every single object, and it's awful. We only want the one object though, so we're going to export that. And yep, that's done. So we'll now remove that boolean from there. Okie dokie, that's done. So we can disappear that. We just need to actually have our lantern to export now. So we're going to do our boolean union with lantern bits. Cool. We've now got our lantern all ready to go. So we're going to export that as undamaged lantern, as I may have to separate the one for the lantern that's damaged from its toppled pillars. So we'll go undamaged lantern for that one. We'll export it. We'll then remove the object from the boolean union so that it doesn't crash. We'll go through and we'll just double check to make sure all our other ones don't have anything applied. Cool. We'll save the file. Then we'll go back to Chitubox. Okay, now we're in Chitubox. I'll just drag in our new STL files. There's one, and we want our undamaged lantern as well. And now it's no longer at the top of the column, so we can support it no problem. So we'll start. So now that they're all supported, we can make copies of them, fill the build plate up so that we don't waste any space, or we can bring other objects in, fill up the build plate, and send it off to the printer to print a whole bunch. And there we go. We've now got our columns with our lanterns that can be detached. And this is how they came out. Not too shabby. Will look great when they're printed. I've already added the magnets to this one so that they can connect to the walls like this one, and they just clip on, and the little lantern will fall off, which is exactly what we want. I'll glue those in later, I suppose. So that's that. We've solved that problem. So like, subscribe, do all of that stuff if you want to, or don't. Whatever. It's a free country, sort of, for now. And we'll see you next time.